Good evening, good evening, good evening to, excuse me, oh God. I'm laying down here, y'all. I'm just trying to be as quiet as possible. But I just wanted to just let y'all know I was going to come back with y'all with something else today. But this news came up today about Sean Diddy Combs arrested and charged with sex trafficking and ordered held without bail. I really try to stay away from this conversation on the simple fact that with this election going on right now, and I don't want to sound like a hypocrite due to the fact that Diddy is a black man, so was R. Kelly, and they both being hit with RICOs, and of course we all know what happened to our president Donald J. Trump due to this election. Wow, 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 wow. But I don't want to sound racial here. Um, and how I feel about what just has been done. And it's another one. I don't want to sound political. Well, it is politics. It is politics. Politics shapes our lives. And the thing is that we know the story of Christ, and we know during that time of what they call the Passover, there was a rebel by the name of Barabbas. And Barabbas was a murderer and a thief. And he was released by the people, of course, because the people felt Barabbas should be giving a chance to live, because Barabbas, they felt because of his so-called, they prejudice against Christ because the government, of course, set it up that way at the time. The rulers at that time, the Caesars and Pontius Pilate and all of them, that what they pulled politics and everything, because Christ was doing all these wonderful things for people, and Christ had to die for the sins of the world, and he was the Son of God, and they mocked him, and of course we all know the story. So, well, some of us know the story. Some of us just rather not know the story, because some of us rather just live for the way they have to be against Christ. You know, a lot of people are still against Christ. A lot of the antichrist or whatever, we still live in the world today with people who just ain't going to want to accept Christ as their personal savior. And when anything, you talk about anything that relates to the Bible, they don't want to really hear the truth. They rather live in darkness than live in the truth. So now with this Diddy story, and of course I'm gonna go back to what happened to Mr. Robert Sylvester Kelly, very, the king of R&B, you could say, the superstar, the mega superstar, Robert Sylvester Kelly, whatever you want to say, performer, writer, composer, entertainer, and everything under the whole thing with the music industry. Now, Sean Diddy Combs, of course, I know they were riding him hard since, for a couple of years now, maybe a year or so. I don't know. It was just a whole lot of stuff coming out about his freak offs and, the woman he was involved with. And this stuff goes way back to the 90s. They came after him. They trying to say he had some part to do with Tupac. They of course they set up the people they wanted to put on social media and everything else, and you know say all these things about him. And then this, Rob, whatever the boy, whatever his name was, the young man that worked in They set him up as a plant there, homosexual, bisexual, whatever. And I'm just going to say this. This is the Democrats. This is how they operate in their constitution, in their laws, how they want to just continue to ride on certain types of people. And even the man that we just noticed that just the other day was assassinated, trying a second attempt on his life, Donald J. Trump. Then now, just to get people riled up, they love racial tension. They love to make it a racial thing. They love to just like target the certain type of people to get the attention of certain type of people, if you know what I'm saying. But none of this is going to stop me from how I still feel about the policies in this political debate. So let's go on about the Sean Diddy Combs arrested. Look at the timing of things. Um, another attempt on Donald J. Trump's life, and this election is going on. The the geese and the ducks and everything in Springfield, Ohio, being eaten in the ponds by the migrants, the Haitian migrants, and these people are being overwhelming the state. I mean, overwhelming that small town in Springfield, Ohio. And you see how when J.D. Vance was talking to the news lady, the whatever, and the media, and how they were trying to reach with him about the Haitians. Now Diddy Combs is now being held in jail without bond for the free calls. Now, I don't know if his support is going to be as much as Robert Sylvester Kelly's support has been, because he was a little bit more in a lot more stuff that Robert Sylvester Kelly has been into. And people known it for years and years and years and years about his sexuality. People already known about his, you know, flamboyant lifestyle and his lifestyle at parties and having all kind of things going on and the people he associated with, and how he was part of Revolt News. And we just saw what happened on Revolt News. We're watching the debate the other day, right? So it's just a whole lot of stuff, man, that's just going on around, the selection. And I'm just saying, and I had to bring up this part about Christ and about Barabbas and about all the stuff that's taking place, that things are just trying to get your attention, to get you racially upset about a lot of things, and just to have people, certain kinds of people, going against each other and fighting among each other and keeping things, you know, in chaos. So I'm just going to try to be fair, right, in using what I can pick out from this Sean Diddy Combs arrest, and him also being held without bond. Without bond. And those of you who have been riding with me with my channel, my channel was opened up because I was an advocate for the R&B king Robert Sylvester Kelly, and this is just like right now is just bringing me back to that. Okay, so bear with me. Bear with me. So here it says Sean Diddy Combs arrested charges with sex trafficking and ordered held without bail. Sean Diddy Combs, you know what? I'm going to play the video for y'all first, and then we could go into the reading. I'm sorry, because I'm a little tired right now, so I'm just want to hear what they got to say.
The judge tonight denying bail after prosecutors argued he's a flight risk who could potentially intimidate witnesses. CBS's Jerika Duncan was in the courtroom just feet away from Diddy. And Jerika, what did you see?
That's right. You know what, Nora? I was right in the front row, about 12 feet away from where Combs was sitting. And throughout, I noticed he really kept his focus on the judge, at times looking at his attorney. But it was that moment when the judge said that bail was denied that he turned around and looked at his three sons who were in that courtroom and softly patted his chest. 54-year-old Sean Diddy Combs was led away in handcuffs this afternoon after being denied bail. His attorney blasted the decision.
He's a fighter and he's going to fight this.
Combs was charged with sex trafficking, racketeering, and interstate transportation for prostitution following a months-long Homeland Security investigation.
Between at least 2008 and the present, Combs abused, threatened, and coerced victims to fulfill his sexual desires.
Prosecutors allege that Combs used his business empire to force women to engage in sexual acts with professional sex workers at events he called freak-offs. It was there that prosecutors say Combs was violent toward the women, alleging he would hit, kicked, threw objects at, and at times dragged victims by their hair.
The freak-offs sometimes took days at a time and often involved a variety of narcotics such as ketamine, ecstasy, and GHB.
The charges come after Homeland Security raided Combs' homes in LA and Miami last March. Agents say they seized 3 AR-15s with defaced serial numbers, ammunition, narcotics, and recordings of some of the sex acts, which prosecutors say he used to manipulate his victims. Last November, Combs' former girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, filed a lawsuit alleging Combs raped, physically abused, and sex trafficked her during their 10-year relationship. Combs reached a settlement in that case, denying any wrongdoing. But 6 months later, video surfaced from 2016 showing Combs hitting, kicking, and dragging Ventura by the hair.
When you are looking at a racketeering charge, which carries life in prison, when you're looking at sex trafficking charges, this is someone who really may never see the light of day.
When arguing bail denial, prosecutors pointed to Jeffrey Epstein and R. Kelly, but Combs' attorney quickly shot back and said you can't compare those cases, Nora, because they involve children who could not consent.
Drika Duncan, thank you.
You see how they try to throw R. Kelly in there?
One of my favorite supplements is Cunol Turmeric. Turmeric helps with healthy
We're gonna
joints
stop right
and
there.
inflammation support.
I don't want to hear this. Okay. You see how they try to throw R. Kelly name in this because they know now that R. Kelly's getting closer and closer to becoming a free man. So now the devil is mad as hell. You hear me? You hear how the devil, you see how the devil's trying to play on people, and you see how during the debate, and I was listening to on Revolt News with that moderator, that host, Teslin, whatever her name is, and other women was sitting there. The people they started to attack Trump on some things about grabbing the woman by the cootie cat and baze. And I'm gonna tell you something. I don't feel sorry for not none of those women that supposedly had been his victims. Just like I don't feel sorry for some of the women who supposedly have been Robert Sylvester Kelly victims. Because all these women knew what they were getting involved with. And the ones they trying to put on R. Kelly about being children, these parents are still not being held accountable or responsible in any of this. This is the government group called the Me Too. The women groups, the same ones who came for former President Donald Trump. Okay? None of these women are victims. We're not going to run with the victim story. And this is just how I feel. And now they just so mad now because they know the election is coming, and they know a lot of people now are not paying attention to the Democrats. We are done with them. We are, well, a lot of us are done with them because none of their policies line up with the Lord, with God anyway. They don't play fair. And especially when it comes to the rights of the American people and have what we done with our borders and everything else like that. So they just trying to, get our attention away from what really is going on. So now they want to throw this at us. And especially to the black voters. This is what they want to get at us with. They done nothing about the borders. They done nothing about the criminals they elect that are sex trafficking. Millions of them are coming into the United States that are taking little young girls and using them their bodies and sex trafficking them and prostituting them and doing all kind of crazy stuff with them and even killing them. Okay, so they trying to get our attention away from what's really going on. Okay, what's really going on, and especially when they came for, you know, to try to silence Trump. God knows what's going on, and God's people are watching, and God's people are listening. I'm not going to sit up here and celebrate this about Sean Diddy Combs' arrest and charged with sex trafficking and ordered held without bail. I don't think none of that is justice. None of that has been fair. Yeah, they waited a little time, but they know it's getting closer and closer to November the 5th. And they looking for us to start getting, you know, in chaos. Hey Frankie, I see you. How you doing, Frankie? Thank you for tuning in. I'm sorry I didn't been able to reach out to you to let you know I was going tonight, but I did do a little clipping earlier. But I said let me get to y'all later because I had to come home, cook something to eat, get ready for work tomorrow, and have this conversation tonight with you all. I'm not celebrating Sean Diddy Combs' arrest, charged with sex trafficking and ordered held without bail. What these women knew what they were getting involved in the relationship to be with this man was all about. Nobody held them against their will. And if Cassie Ventura or whatever her name is really wanted to get away from him while they showed that little clipping of him kicking and slamming her and all that other stuff, dragging her, she could have been running down them steps. I would have been running down the steps to get away from him. I didn't see nobody else standing there. I didn't see him having any security around to protect her from getting down those staircases or stop her from getting down them staircases or whatever from wherever they were in that hotel. I'm sorry. So they just need to let that man go and focus on what's really taking, what is the real problem here in our, in our country with our economy and also with the criminals they let into our borders. And black people, don't you get on the bandwagon with it that you're gonna be proud to see this man locked up, an American citizen. Okay, when you got these criminals that's coming in over the borders with AKA 47s and drugs and all kind of crime of sex trafficking and the whole nine. And ain't nobody trying to rile them up and send them off to the countries where they came from. And then we can work on the people in United States of America committing these kind of crimes. But what we need to focus on is getting these criminals out of the United States. And Kamala Harris and Biden that brought them here. That's what we need to be looking at. Could y'all please hit the like button? I appreciate it. I see 23 people here in this light in the chat. We gotta go deeper, y'all. We can't be on the surface. And I'm not jumping on the bandwagon that I'm gonna be proud to see this man behind bars. Yeah, you know, I'm not proud of that at all. And because I know where they're going with it, I could see it. Those women groups and those people, and they got a whole lot of skeletons in their closet of doing things that is not pleasing in the sight of God. But they're going to speak on this man's life. And they want to put this man behind bars. And they want to say all these horrible things about this man. Sean Diddy Combs was ordered held without bail Tuesday after he was charged with sex trafficking, racketeering, conspiracy, and transportation to engage in prostitution. Combs pleaded not guilty to the charges in federal court in New York City. U.S. Magistrate Judge Robin, and see another female judge, right? Robert Tronovsky ordered Combs held after hearing from prosecutors and Combs' legal team late Tuesday afternoon. Mark Agnefello, an attorney for Combs, said he'll be appealing the decision. Prosecutors sought detention for Combs, arguing that he possessed his poses an ongoing and significant danger to the community, has repeatedly engaged in obstructive conduct, and present a serious risk of flight, while his lawyers asked that he be released on bond. Okay? Look at this. All this on Sean Puffy Combs' arrest. And I'm not going to sit up here and I'm not going to celebrate it. Okay? Well, anyway, we're going to get into more of this later. But I also wanted to share with you um, something else here. I wanted to share with you. Let me see if I can search it right now. I wanted to share with you something else here. Um, yep, I'm going to share with you something else about but I'll talk to you about the Haitians that came over and the nanny that killed the child in New York. I got the story here for you. Um, this happened in 2011. They she was found guilty. She killed it wasn't one child, it was two children that this nanny killed. New York nanny who killed two children convicted of murder. I'm trying to get to the to okay, this was on ABC. Okay, they brought this lady in. It says, okay, we're gonna go here in Wikipedia, and it says here Lucia and Leo Krim, age 6 and 2 respectively, were murdered in the late afternoon of October the 25th of 2012 at the La Rochelle apartment building on the Upper West Side of Manhattan in New York City. The children, part-time caretaker Yoselin Ortega was convicted of stabbing the children to death with kitchen knives while their mother, Marina Krim, and 3-year-old sister, Nessie, were a few blocks away at a swimming lesson. So she wasn't taking the little girl to school. I told you I have to correct that because I told y'all last night that it happened when she took the little girl to school, but it wasn't school. She took a little daughter to the um so to her swimming lessons. I'm sorry. And it says, upon returning home, their mother and sister found Lucia and Leo dead in the bathtub at the family apartment. Ortega then began stabbing herself repeatedly in the neck and throat. She survived the self-inflicted wounds. So after she stabbed up the children, on February 22nd of 2018, 12 jurors were chosen for Ortega trial. An opening statement began March 1st in Manhattan Supreme Court on April 18th in 2018. Ortega was found guilty of first-degree murder and second-degree murder. Ortega was sentenced on May 14th of 2018 to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Okay, so the whole story here, this happened in Manhattan, 57 West Manhattan, and the parents, it was a double murder and the stabbing child attempts murder suicide. After she stabbed the children, she tried to act like she has some self-inflicted wounds that somebody came in and did all of this other crazy stuff. The story, but I wish I could find the whole story to what has happened here. I wish I could get you the whole story. Well, anyway, the whole moral to now this is some people reported that the nanny. It says a criminal trial opened in we that for a nanny many in the city has been hard to think about and impossible to stop thinking about. It has been 5 years since Yashlin Ortega, a nanny for a family in Manhattan, stabbed to death two of her three charges, and the trial is to establish if she knew what she was doing. Ortega's lawyer argues she is not guilty by reason of insanity. In 2016, the case provided the basis for Leela um, Slimani's best-selling novel titled Lullaby in the UK and The Perfect Nanny in the US, which opens with the scene of carnage in a Paris flat similar to the one Marina Krim encountered on returning home to her apartment in 2012 to find her children dead in the bath and their caregiver stabbing herself in the neck. To read coverage of both of the book and the original crime is to understand that this is not the story of one family's tragedy, but of assumed relationship between two women, a dynamic in which many other women are implicated before the trial. Prospective jurors will ask if they had ever hired a nanny or themselves acted as caregivers, and many of those who said yes were dismissed. Prosecutors claim Ortega was motivated by resentment of her employer, by which they meant Marina Krim, not her husband Kevin. It says 2 years ago, when the New Yorkers ran a piece about the incredible tough lives of immigrant babysitters, in New York, it was headlined Mother for Hire, a double meaning in which once again fathers and families that employed nannies were left blissfully impl- implicated. Meanwhile, reviews of the Slimanian novel describe the horror of a nanny murdering charges as a working mother's nightmare. What has been particularly striking are slips in the caretaking to absolve Marina Krim of blame. She is entirely blameless. There is no suggestion she was an improper. Nonetheless, the judgments are there. Though Miss Krim did not work outside the home, Miss Krim's parents said they wanted a nanny to help out. This is a line from an early report in the New York Times. And though in that sentence is extraordinary, Marina Krim's father-in-law also told the journalist that his son's wife didn't have a nanny so she could go out and play tennis. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but because the three kids is a lot of work and she needed an extra pair of hands. When Marina Krim testified last Friday, defense lawyers quizzed her about demands she made on the nanny, zeroing in on seemingly trivial domestic disputes until after 7 hours of testimony. She started to weep and said, I'm sorry about this. I don't understand. I don't know what she was fishing for. Defense lawyers were fishing for blame, and it is a powerful temptation. Without blame, what happened is too terrifyingly random to bear. And if you can't blame Marina Krim for provoking her children's murder, we will blame her for hiring a nanny in the first place. Emma, I hope you appreciate this article before you move on. I wanted to ask you would consider supporting the Guardian's journalist join one of the most consequential news cycles of our lifetime. We have never been passionate about exposing the multiple threats to our democracy and holding power to account in America in the heat of a tumultuous presidential race, which the threat of a more extreme second Trump presidency still looming. There is an urgent need for free, trustworthy journalism that foregrounds the stakes of November's election for our country implant. Yet, from Elon Musk to the Murdochs, a small number of billionaire owners have a powerful hold on so much of the information that reaches the public about what's happening in the world. The Guardian is different. We have no billionaire owner on the shareholders to consider. Our journalism is okay. What are they talking about? Okay, they want money for this day article. Okay, we're not gonna do that. But anyway, I appreciate the article. But what I'm saying here and what I'm trying to say here is that I was talking about like what's going on when these immigrants are coming over here and what American people who have brought them over here are doing, bringing these people jobs over here to work for them for less pay than hiring an American citizen who they will have to pay a whole lot more for their skill, for their for their work and everything else for the money. So they rather thought they was going to get away hiring cheap nannies to watch their kids take care of their families while these people are suffering with their families over in their country and have to feed their family where their American dollar can't really go nowhere. It's not enough for them to really survive here to send enough back home to their country to live over there. And now the American dollar is worth nothing anymore. You know what I'm saying? It's not really doing really good. So now it's, you got to get into something, oh my God, other than the American dollar. But what I'm saying is that they coming over here now, and America, like Trump said, they're laughing at us. You know what I'm saying? We've been sold out to, I don't know what Biden and what Kamala did. They just really, really messed us up over here. And then he knows getting in office and everything for the American people. We got to really, really work hard to get this country economy back where it needs to be. It ain't going to be perfect. We never get it the perfect way. But we got to get America to be one of the strongest, greatest, and most prosperous nations again. And they just let people come over here and they live and do what they want to do, especially now that they just come here, they breaking laws, they going in ponds, killing geese or ducks and things that are unlawful. And I spoke to people today on my Facebook about this, people doing this. Of course, some people eat geese, some people eat certain kinds of poultry and birds or whatever like that. But that's really not our culture. That's not our diet, American diet. I mean, there's some Americans that like to eat foreign foods. I ain't gonna say they haven't. They have traveled. They went there. They tried certain things. Some people even went to countries and ate monkey. You know what I'm saying? Seriously. And ate llama and camels and things of that nature. But me, I don't have a palate for it. But I'm just saying, you just can't be going around in ponds and killing geese and leaving remains in the public like that. And that to me is like kind of barbaric. And we have regulations here. Regulations meaning that there's laws. There's laws not to go out and kill the animals that are in the wild. That we, like some of the things that we leave there for a reason. We have a law against that. Even with fishing, you just can't fish in any kind of pond to catch a fish and eat it because it can be contaminated. And it is also to not only protect the animals but to protect you eating from the pond and eating geese and things. These kind of things can have diseases and germs on it. That's why we have certain laws that you can't eat from certain places because these things might have some kind of contamination. Okay? They check these things. These things have to be governed. These things have to be law. And this is not only just coming from man, but this is coming from God. This is coming from God. That's why some places, before you even go travel and you go live in certain countries, you have to be vaccinated because your body may not be immune to a lot of things that might be over there. And these people coming over here to the United States of America, they eat different foods and different cultural things or whatever. that they could be bringing anything to us. We don't know that. I was watching the movie The Godfather, and I looked at the time it was smallpox, and it was other kind of diseases that people were bringing that before they even let them out of these so-called concentration camps or wherever they was holding them at. They had to be examined, medically examined. They had to go through the process. And that's what the whole thing is. You have to go through a medical examination, all kind of tests before you come into the United States that you're not carrying nothing in here. You remember people were dying from COVID? Well, supposedly been COVID. But anyway, y'all, those are the things I wanted to touch on with you. The killing of the nanny, the lady that worked for a family in Manhattan, and they hired her as a nanny, and she ended up killing both their little children. And when they came back, they seen the woman had self-inflicted. I remember reading the story, but I just wanted to just share that with you. That they said they hiring these people to work in the United States because they working so they could get their United States citizenships or whatever they working for. Or still in all. You dumping them in certain places. These people right now are fear for their life, fear for their health, everything. And here you are allowing people to come in, go kill geese in the pond, and leave remains all out in the public and everything else. I see the geese. I know geese are nasty and everything because I see them all the way in the pond around where I'm at. They come around a certain time of the year. They don't be out there in the winter time. They come more like in the spring and this time of the year, like maybe summer. But right now, by this time of the year, they probably be going somewhere where the climate is a little bit more warmer to go hang out in the pond. But I seen the geese, and I know they be it's so many of them. Sometimes I'm walking by where I used to work at, and all the geese used to be all up in the parking lot, all around the buildings and everything. You come out, they fly, they be all around. And the people are killing them, but we not allowed to do that in this state. It's not allowed in this state. You can't even run over them with your car when they all up in the road and everything. You just can't do that. Okay, so anyway, y'all, I just wanted to just share this with y'all tonight. I'm not gonna sit up here and celebrate the Sean Puffy Combs arrest in jail and everything because of why this election is going on. I just don't want the certain type of things to, you know, make it to be something racial, even though we know it's all about the election coming, and we know that they want to lock up another black man and get the black people riled up and get the black people crazy out here, a black entertainer or whatever. Even though whether he was a Democrat, whatever, we know these women that run under the Democrat Party, these feminists or whatever like that. This is them. This is their doing. And then on top of that, they couldn't get Trump, so they mad. So they come for the brother. They come for the brother. Okay? So anyway, y'all, I gotta go. God bless you. I love you. And peace.